The ongoing turmoil within the MAGA faction of the Republican Party has created an environment of dysfunction and chaos that threatens their ability to govern effectively. Despite claims of party unity, the Republican Party is rife with infighting, with competing factions that prioritize ideological purity and personal battles over governance. This internal discord could lead to an unprecedented constitutional crisis, particularly if the House of Representatives is unable to certify the results of the 2024 presidential election due to its inability to elect a speaker. The Daily Beast recently highlighted this looming threat, reporting that the instability within the GOP could jeopardize Donald Trump's inauguration on January 20th. Speaker Mike Johnson's tenuous hold on leadership is in jeopardy, leaving the House vulnerable to paralysis at a critical juncture. While Democrats are still in the process of organizing themselves to be an effective opposition party, the disarray within the Republican ranks provides an unexpected opportunity for Democrats to prepare for the political battles ahead. According to the Constitution, each new session of Congress begins at noon on January 3rd. The first order of business in the House of Representatives is to elect a speaker, who then swears in the newly elected representatives. For over a century, this process has been largely procedural. However, given the fractious state of the Republican Party, experts warn that a speaker might not be chosen in time to count and certify the presidential election results, a process that must be completed by January 6th. The constitutional timeline is clear. The new Congress convenes on January 3rd, the election results must be certified on January 6th, and the new president must be inaugurated by noon on January 20th. While most Americans may not have paid attention to these specific dates in the past, Donald Trump's presidency has made the nuances of these constitutional processes more widely understood. Despite the chaos, it seems unlikely that Trump would allow his ego to suffer the embarrassment of a disrupted inauguration. Trump's influence over the Republican Party remains strong, and it is difficult to imagine GOP lawmakers risking his wrath by failing to elect a speaker in time to certify the election. Lawmakers may drag out the process, but they are ultimately expected to fall in line due to Trump's dominance over the party. Nevertheless, the situation remains precarious. The House Speaker must win a majority of all votes cast, not just a majority of the leading party's votes. With the incoming House composed of 434 members, one short due to the resignation of Representative Matt Gaetz following allegations of sexual misconduct, the narrow Republican majority leaves little room for error. Speaker Johnson needs 218 votes to maintain his position, but even a handful of defections could cost him the speakership. Representative Thomas Massie, a vocal critic of Johnson, has already declared his opposition, and several other Republicans are reportedly undecided. This uncertainty raises the possibility of weeks-long negotiations to settle on a new speaker, pushing dangerously close to the January 20th deadline. Political science experts, such as Steve Smith from Arizona State University, have acknowledged that no one knows what would happen if the House fails to elect a speaker by January 20th, as the scenario has no historical precedent. This uncharted territory could lead to a constitutional crisis, with unclear legal and procedural resolutions. Despite the chaos, Trump's ego and influence suggest that Republicans will eventually resolve their differences and ensure that the certification and inauguration processes proceed as scheduled. Trump is unlikely to tolerate anything less than a triumphant return to the presidency, and his loyalists will likely bend to his demands, however reluctantly. The broader implications of this dysfunction, however, cannot be ignored. The MAGA movement's focus on internal purity tests and personal vendettas has left the party ill-equipped to govern effectively. The chaos within the GOP mirrors the character Pigpen from the Peanuts comic strip, with a cloud of dust and disorder perpetually surrounding them. While Republicans flounder, Democrats have an opportunity to prepare themselves for the battles ahead. The Democratic Party must address its own internal divisions and focus on presenting a unified front. Figures like Jared Moskowitz and John Fetterman must step up and embrace the role of opposition leaders, challenging Republican dysfunction rather than accommodating it. Ultimately, the Republican Party's internal chaos may create opportunities for Democrats to assert themselves as the party of stability and governance. However, Democrats must act swiftly to capitalize on this moment, as the GOP's disarray will not last forever. The potential for a constitutional crisis is real, but so is the likelihood that Republicans will rally behind Trump to avoid embarrassment. The coming weeks will reveal whether the GOP can overcome its internal divisions in time to fulfill its constitutional duties, or whether the chaos within the party will spiral further out of control. Either way, the stakes for American democracy have never been higher. For now, all eyes are on the House of Representatives and Speaker Mike Johnson's struggle to maintain control. If Republicans cannot resolve their differences, the consequences could be catastrophic, not just for their party, but for the entire nation.